we released a full-length documentary focused on two levels of investigations. On a side, we documented around Europe what was going on in factory farming, so all the critical conditions, the black labor, the animal exploitation, the struggle of the community that are basically full of factory farms in their territories. And on the other side, we went undercover with a fake lobbyist inside the European Parliament. And we recorded all controversial statements from MIP, from members of the European Parliament, all their clear connection with the lobbyists and with the agribusiness companies.
Καλησπέρα σας. Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ που είστε μαζί μας. Hello, thank you so much for being with us. The speech we're going to listen to is from Animal Prospekt, and the title is Investigate to Liberate. Animal Prospekt is an undercover investigative journalist operating under this pseudonym. Coming from the Italian grassroots movement for animal liberation, he has focused for over 15 years on investigating the conditions, exploitation, and killing of animals, managing projects released by non-profit organizations, national and international media. Today, we will analyze the impact and strategies of various investigations carried out over the years. We will examine the outcomes achieved, the techniques used, and why it is essential to keep exposing what happens to animals in factory farms, most of all on the conventional media. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the introduction. I want to tell you something about my story, and probably because I am here in front of you. I start my activism in the grassroots movement when I refer about grassroots animal liberation movement. Obviously, I refer about collectives and groups that are focused on doing campaigns with direct actions, with methods that are very direct. And basically, this is my beginning. And after that, I want to do something more. I want to professionalize my work. I want to do more into details, more into something that was specific for my work. So I start to conduct my first investigation that was with a small network involved with a campaign against fur. And my first investigation was about fur farming. And luckily, I can talk about the past because at the moment fur farming in Italy is banned, and probably also for the result of the investigations. And it was my first investigation. It was, at that time, my chance to understand more about what we could do in that period, and obviously about what I couldn't do because of my lack of experience, about my possibility, about my economic possibility, because when you do an investigation, you need professional equipment, you need lots of things, but most of all, you need experience. So it was my first experience. After that, I started to collaborate with some animal rights organization, and in that moment, for me, it was the big step. In that moment, I decided that it was my intention to do this as a work, and it was the right step for me to start to work with this organization. I started to work with Animal Equality, an international organization focused on investigation, most of all at that time. I decided to work with other organizations like Animals Angels, that is an organization that is very focused on animal transportation. I work with a big Italian organization that they call LAV, that means League Against Vivisection. It's the oldest organization in Italy, and in a specific period, they decide to focus on investigation, and they call me to do that. And in that moment, I also decided to establish contact with the media. This is something that I recall during my panel here with you, because it's one of my experience during these years. I mean, how to deal with the conventional media. That is a big challenge for us as activists, as investigators, as journalists, because when you talk about animal issues, when you talk about environmental issues, we know that it's very, very difficult to grab the attention of the media. I decided to establish my contact with some famous journalists that were very interested in animal issue, and in that case I conduct my first investigation with a reporter inside the factory farms in Italy. It was the first time that a reporter decided to go inside this kind of facility and to investigate them. And in that kind, I was aside her to help her to document everything and to explain everything to the public. After that, we decided to build a fully dedicated TV program dedicated to investigation, and most of all to investigation in factory farming and slaughterhouses. After that, I decided to go more into detail as a journalist, and I had the chance to work continuously for 2 years. You have to know, I come from Italy, and in Italy it's quite difficult to become a registered journalist. You have to release articles, photography, and video footage for 2 years continuously. And after that, you can be recognized as an official journalist. I did it, and in that case, for me, it was a big and important challenge, because in that case, I decided to work both as a journalist, obviously as an undercover investigator. And we come at this moment where I work as a freelance for NGO and for media outlets. That it means that basically I conduct investigations for NGOs that are interested in doing investigations, and also for media outlets that are very interested in focus on this kind of work for their expose, for their reportage. Why investigation matter? This is something that I want to share with you because I think it's very important, and I briefly expose everything in 5 points. Obviously, the first one is illuminate the hidden lives of animals. Animals obviously need a voice. In this case, for the investigation, they need a voice to tell their stories, to tell what's happening. In this case, in the last year, regarding my experience, what happens inside factory farming. And one very important point is, and we'll see later why, reveal the connections between politicians, lobbyists, and agribusiness companies. This is one of the most important points because large part of the public opinion ignore this important connection, because when there's a connection between lobbyists, between agribusiness company and politicians, this means a lot of money. Apply pressure on political institutions to act responsibly. Obviously, in this case, we are talking about doing investigation to go to the institution and tell them, okay, this is something that doesn't work, okay? If you are responsible, if you are politically involved in these kind of things, we have the tools, we have the testimonies to let you know what can be done and what we can do for our instance. Guide corporate agendas toward ethical and sustainable practice. Obviously, this is a point that, to be sincere, is not so connected with my word, but is obviously connected with the NGOs that are interested in using investigation to put pressure on companies that want to be more motivated on vegan products and on products that are cruelty-free. In that case, in large part of that cases, investigation are used to put pressure on the agenda of the companies. and obviously, at the end, mobilize public opinion toward a speciesist-free society. So obviously, outreach. I mean, investigation could be very useful to educate people to understand more about animal exploitation, about what's happening to animals in all the facility where they are exploited. I'm not referring only about factory farming, but I'm referring also about circuses, about laboratories, and all the facilities where the animals are exploited. I suppose that a large part of you that are here obviously because you get in touch with veganism. You get in touch with animal issues, with animal rights. But maybe, I don't know, but some of them probably are here because probably you were in front of footage of a picture like this, and you were so impressed to understand more about what's going on with animals in factory farming. What is Unlock Media? Briefly, Unlock Media is the organization I founded with other reporters. Obviously, we come from Italy, so we are the first Italian non-profit organization fully dedicated to investigative journalism for animals and for environment, obviously. We are focused on these two issues, and this is quite important because when we're talking about investigative journalism, and this is obviously is very important, investigative journalism is largely focused on the organized criminal groups or drugs, or in general about politicians. We are focusing on animal issues and on environmental issues. Obviously, we are a collaborative partner for other NGOs and for other media outlets. So what we can offer? We can offer our expertise to understand what could be done through investigation for them and for their interest, for their plans, if they want to release something connected with the animals and with everything connected with the environment. I want to talk now about what is food for profit. Food for profit was my latest work conducted with a team of other journalists and with the reporter Giulia Innocenzi. Giulia Innocenzi is a well-known reporter in Italy and in general Europe. And Food for Profit is a documentary. Hopefully, you will see also in Greece soon. We are releasing in different European countries because it's focused on a European country. The main topic of Food for Profit was to enlighten the link between the meat industry, lobbying, and the corridor of power. What I mean with this? Basically, we made a connection between all the European funds given through the CAP, Common Agriculture Policy, to factory farming. This is very important because every 4 or 5 years, the European Parliament votes with our money, so with taxpayers' money, the funds given to the factory farms in Europe in general, also in Greece. So what we did, what we made? Basically, we released a full-length documentary focused on 2 levels of investigations. On a side, we documented around Europe what was going on in factory farming, so all the critical conditions, the black labor, the animal exploitation, the struggle of the community that are basically full of factory farms in their territories. And on the other side, we went undercover with a fake lobbyist inside the European Parliament. And we recorded all controversial statements from MIP, from members of the European Parliament, all their clear connection with the lobbyists and with the agribusiness companies. And in fact, here I want to illustrate you the key of strength behind our documentary. I want to tell you we are very happy for that, but we screen our documentary in cinema in Italy, and we stay as the 4 movie watched in theater for at least a month. And it was a big case in Italy, and it's also going quite well in Spain and the United Kingdom. And the reason is because there's a very strong connection between us as taxpayers and what's happening to the animals in the farms. But the key of strength in this case, I want to mention you five steps that for me are considered very important. Obviously, as I mentioned, using the investigations to show all the issues. And when I talk about all the issues, I mean that we documented very, very bad things inside factory farms in different European countries, Spain, Italy, Germany, Poland. So in all these cases, we document a very controversial situation that was very useful to show to the public, okay, this is the condition of the factory farming, or the factory farms that are funded with your money. Focus on the funding, obviously, of the taxpayer used for that, and a strong network started with collective public screening. This is very important. We went in the cinema, we went in the theaters, but aside from that, we decided to stay grassroots. So we decided to set up different screenings with collectives, with small groups, with a small group of citizens that we knew that were very active to fight against the construction of new factory farms in the regions. And we organize very important screenings around Europe, Italy, Spain, Poland. We get in touch with different citizen groups to realize that. Two special reportages based on the documentary released on TV. This was very important for us because obviously we have the interest of the citizens, of a big part of citizens, but we needed also the attention of the major part of public opinion. And in that case, we decided to release two exposés with the two important TV programs. And in that case, we had the attention of a public opinion that was not so involved in the arguments that we faced in the documentary. And it was a big challenge, particularly for a TV program, Screen in Italy, that was watched by around 2 million of people. In that case, we saw that after the broadcast of the TV program, we have a very important number of persons that decide to join the theaters to see our documentary. And in fact, at least immediate effective result, and the result are these two. These two are the people that you see here are two important MIP, or I can see past MIP, members of European Parliament. We recorded them with very controversial statements, and in their case, the reaction of the public opinion and of the media was so impressive that at the last European election, they decided to not candidate themselves again. And it was a very big result. In the case of this one, he's Italian, she's Spanish. In the case of Italian, he was in the European Parliament for 15 years. After the release of the documentary, he decided to move back to his original role, something that we talk in the documentary. His original role was to work with the private agribusiness company to basically do the interest of the agribusiness company. So he went back to his original position and not the position to defend the European citizen. So this is one too big result. As I mentioned before, regarding all the key points, most important points for the investigation. I would like also to talk with you about some case that I faced during the years. I want to take about this, I want to call the big chicken case. Is something that was very important. We realized this investigation through important Italian TV program, and we investigate a controversial major brand. What I mean with the controversial major brand, it was one of the most important broiler producer in Italy, and but one of the one of the most particular sign of this company was to be very, very green oriented. In fact, a large part of his campaigns to sponsor the products was also related good organic food, good organic farming, good organic chicken. We demonstrate that basically it was all hypocrisy and it was also fake communication. In fact, you have to know that 90% of the farms owned by this brand was broiler farms, so were intensive farms, not organic farms. But we didn't act only of the hypocrisy or the hypocrisy to have broiler farm, but we also concentrate our work also about the few organic farms that they have. And we saw and we document that this organic farm, the situation sometimes was also worse than the broiler farm. And we basically report everything on a TV program. And one of the things, and I want to talk you also, I want to share with you some important data and also some impact that we can measure with our investigation. And one important consequence in this investigation was that after 2-3 months after the release of the expose of the investigation, the company registered a minus 30% drop in sale, obviously during the post-investigation, and it was a very big impact. And I can tell you, this is obviously something that is not so public, that at the moment the company is not feeling well, and they are also considering a change of property because of the economical damage that they receive from investigation, where an investigation that we release just for an important aim. And this important aim for us was to let understand to the people the reality inside this, the reality behind this brand, and the reality behind the organic farming that in this case is completely a lie. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about our political cases. This is another important aspect, another important step for investigation. In this case, I want to focus on the fact that it's very important to connect factory farming, investigation, and politicians. Because factory farming and politicians, believe me, are always connected, more than we can imagine. In this case, we conduct different investigations. 2 major investigations, 2 of the most important, were related to 2 politicians that are very connected with the factory farms. So our intention was to absolutely enlighten the controversies in these farms, and obviously counter the reaction and falsehoods with detailed analysis and specific footage. This is very important. When you decide to focus on a politician, on very important person, when you make an investigation, it's very important to be specific. It's very important to go in details. it's very important to have all the proof to show to the public why we are showing these images and how these images are connected with the politicians. Because the first accusation that we can receive is that these images are manipulated, these images are false, these images are not connected with the politicians. I think that one of the most important in this case is the fact that, politicians are always connected with something that is very positive, that is very, I don't know how it's going in Greece, but in Italy, we have a lot of politicians that use the greenwashing style to talk about good farming, to talk about how factory farming are working well. So one of the most important points of our activity, one of the most important of this investigation was to show the real faces of these politicians, was to show why they are lying to the public and the interest, most of all, they have in doing this. Because lots of politicians, at least in my experience, are very, very good connection directly or indirectly with factory farmings. And why? Because factory farming economically is a very big business. Consider that all the bad trouble, all the criminal activities in Europe, this is statistics, all the criminal activities connected with the factory farms are the third one after drugs and after prostitution. I want to talk, I am trying to go more in details about the bullet points that I showed you at the beginning, about why the investigations matter. I think one of the most important points, and this is one of the topics that we touch during the documentary Food for Profit, is join the struggling communities. It's important to support the local communities. One of the most important aspect of our investigation is to be supportive with the local communities, and most of all with all the local communities that are affected of all the new factory farms that agribusiness are building all around. And it's something that is happening everywhere. It's not happening only in China, because sometimes we know about far countries where we have all these big factory farms built there. But believe me, this is something that is happening also in European countries. In the documentary Food for Profit, we told a story about a Polish community that was very affected by factory farming. They are full of broiler farms because a very big company from Middle East decided to invest in territory in the eastern part of Poland that were very cheap and where they decided to build different broiler farms. This picture comes from an Italian egg laying farm that they are building, a new one. We have a very big problem in Italy with the building of a new factory farm. And we decided that one of the most important aspects for us, for our work, is to use our tool to oppose to the construction of factory farm. Because when we unite our testimonies, our footage, with the community that decide to fight against the factory farming, the institution obviously asks for proof, asks why factory farming are a problem, why factory farm are so important and so dangerous for the public, for the local community. And the investigation are a very useful tool to demonstrate to the institution, okay, this is factory farming, this is what you are billing, or this is how is the risk that things are going in your community, in your territory, because of building or something like that. So, where are we now? This is my final reflections, and after that I can leave eventually the time to some questions. And I want to basically touch 3 important points. Obviously, the first one is one that is very connected with my work, and is connected with the fact that we have to redefine new and increasingly effective strategies. I want to invite you to not think that investigation is just simply show to the public or to our relatives or to the people that we know the footage of animals that are suffering or the footage of animal exploitation. Using the investigation means using strategies to have a very important impact on our society, on a political level, and also on the public opinion, because believe me, when you think that, okay, large part of people have seen images of factory farming, of animal exploitation, is not true. We are lots of persons. With our documentary, Food for Profit, we basically demonstrate that there's still a large part of public opinion that completely ignore what's happening inside factory farm. So it's important to continue, but it's important to find new level of communication to grab the attention of the public and to let them understand that it is a common problem, this is a common issue, and this is something that you have to face together and to fight. Counter-SLAPP lawsuit targeting undercover investigator and journalists. This is the dark side of my work. I don't know if you know the term SLAPP, but the term SLAPP connected with investigative journalism, it means the worst aspect of our work. The SLAPP is the term that we use when we receive pressure from agribusiness company or from politician. And this basically is, we can translate it with lawsuits, with complaints because of our work. And in large part of the cases, we are talking about very economical damage for us because they sue us and they ask us for public damage and for something that, you know, for example, in Food for Profit, we risk something like 2,000 euros for a lawsuit because one of the company involved consider itself so damage for the proof that we show to the public. And so the SLAPP is a very important problem, and I invite you to be supportive with investigators and with the organizations that are doing investigation and with the journalists that are involved in investigation, because the SLAPP is a common risk. It is something that basically we face every time we release an investigation. Obviously, at least tell stories that leave a lasting impact and inspire new hope. And in this case, I want to show you an image that is not a common image. The animal that you see in the picture is a turkey. She's called Phoenix, and she's the survival from a fire from a factory farm. You have to know that fire in factory farming is a very, very big issue. It happens often. It happens also in Greece, and it happens often. And you have to know that there's no survival plan for animal in factory farm when there's a fire. When there's a fire in factory farm, the animal are dead, closed, period. But Phoenix was a survival. Me and my colleague went close to the turkey farm where there was the fire to document, because we use often to document the fire in factory farm because it's important to testify how it's dangerous, the situation with factory farm, also in this period of climate change. And in this case, we came there and we start to film the situation was very bad. There was these 2 shots completely full of barn body of turkeys, completely dead, barn and dead in the worst possible way. I cannot imagine, and I hope the same. I think that you can think the same. And in that case, when we were filming from basically a hidden part close to the barn, Phoenix jumped out when we were filming, and she was an incredible survival because she was the only one of 20,000 turkeys of a farm. She lived for 2 years. Unfortunately, now she's dead because for an heart attack, you have to know that when we talk about farm animals, we talk about animals that have genetic disease. Turkeys, broilers have often heart attacks because their heart is not so strong, for their physique. But she lived for 2 years in a sanctuary of a friend of mine, and she basically made the history of the sanctuary because she became very famous. When guests went to the sanctuary, they asked for a selfie with her because she was very friendly. She was so. It is quite strange for turkeys, for chicken, but she was very expressive. She was very communicative, and also the owner of the sanctuaries 1 week ago in another event where we had a talk together, and she told the story about 2 guests came into the sanctuary. 2 guests, obviously, that were not vegans, that decided to become vegan because they knew Phoenix, and they established a connection with her, and this connection was basically the positive result. And so in that case, we can see how a small animal like her was so effective for millions of animals. And this is the last story. I want to thank you to be here. There are so many people. To be sincere, it was unexpected, and for me, it's like an honor. And I want to thank you for the bottom. If you have some question, I'm here. Thank you very much.